We are we are in a cyber war today. Most Americans don't know it. You know, they go about their lives happily, and that's a good thing, other than the fact that we are in a cyber war today. Your nation felt it, I think, first, bigger and harder than any other nation. You've made history, and it's not the history you want to make. But we're in that fight right now, every day, and we haven't protected ourselves yet. So as we go with this dialogue with our European allies, and I met with the chairman of, I think it's the Justice Committee that does all the data privacy, where we're trying to work through some things. And then we push it out to the private sector across the EU. But it's pretty hard to have that dialogue if we can't have a sharing arrangement even with our own private sector folks here. And you know, this is a private sector generated economy here when it comes to the internet. So our networks are privately sector run, protected, and driven. And I argue that's the right way to do it. That means we're going to have a uniquely American approach to this that protects privacy, protects civil liberties, and still protects our intellectual property and our national security interests as well. On any bilateral discussion with China, it has to be number 1, number 2, and number 3 on the list. It's that serious in my mind. We shouldn't get to any other discussions before we get some answers on their efforts on cyber espionage. And by the way, the United States government does not use its military and intelligence services or any other part of our U.S. government to steal intellectual property to bring it back to give it to an American company. It does not happen and certainly will not happen. That is not who we are. That's not what it does. Our intelligence services do. Not going to happen. So some notion when they get out there on TV and say, oh, the U.S. does it. No, they do not do it. I'm telling you right now. So that's why we join with other nation states who don't steal intellectual property to give it back to their private industry to compete in the world market. So the bilateral piece has to be really important. Secondly, and we did a bipartisan bill introduction recently that says, all right, let's start going after the individuals. Let's make this really uncomfortable for individuals who are sitting at those machines stealing intellectual property. We're going to make sure that they can't get visas to the United States, that they're put on lists that would not allow them to travel to the United States, that we could start looking at financial issues, that we could make sure that their finances don't travel and transactions clear through the United States.